All right, guys, it's time for the next GOAT Theory update, and I've got some really cool stuff. I'm going to show you a really simple way to fix the three most common backswing problems, and those are flat shoulder turn, your head moving off the ball, and the club going inside. And all three of those things are directly related. So let me show you where I'm at right now with what I'm working on with all my research. You'll see my takeaway is very similar. We're basically moving from much the same place, and I'm going to talk about where that is and what that's all about in just a moment. But a lot of things that are similar. You can see I'm a little bit more laid off looking at the top than Tiger, but that makes it really easy to shallow the club. He's probably trying to hit a cut here, but hard to know for sure. Downswing stuff is still a work in progress for sure, but we're certainly getting into the ballpark here, and there's a lot of cool stuff that I've been able to use with my students to help them understand really simple things about how to move their body in a different way to get better results really quickly and all through feel. So let me talk about that real quick with our favorite golf student, Alton here. All right, let's take a look at the three most common swing faults in the backswing and how to fix them with one simple feeling. So I've got Alton up here. Some of you guys have followed along with him. He's 89 years old. He's still out there chasing it, man. He's out there doing the grind, practicing every day. I love it. He is a golf fiend. But he demonstrates all three of the most common swing faults that most golfers struggle with in perfection here. If you look on the right, you're going to see the club going way inside his hands, right? So we've already got the club kind of buried back here. And of course, you can see that his head has now moved almost a foot off the ball. And this is going to cause his shoulders to turn really flat. In fact, his shoulders are almost, give or take, almost horizontal to the ground. So from here, we've got some work to do. We've got to get our head back, move it almost a foot. He does an amazing job, quite frankly. If you look at, he's actually hitting the ball in the center of the face. Can't use his body for power, but he's moving as well as he can, doing as well as he can, but from a very difficult position. This is a really hard thing to recover from when your head moves off the ball, your shoulders are flat, and the club goes inside. And all three of these things are directly related. One can cause the other. They kind of all cause each other. But now let's take a look at what I did with him to go and get him feeling something completely different. So now you're going to see him at the top of his swing on the right here, and on the left, wildly different, right? Now you can see when he swings really flat and gets his head leaned way off the ball, he's got a lot of axis tilt away from the ball now. His spine is going to stay what we would call inflection, which is just kind of curved this way. Here he's actually starting to get into extension a little bit. When you're in flexion, it bumps your hips out this way, so you can't really load into that right leg. You can't drive off of it for any power. And so we've got all sorts of things that are going on here. Here, his head's actually staying centered. He's loaded into his right leg. You can see his lower body looks way closer to a tour pro's lower body than he did over here. And this is all just giving him one simple feeling, which is what I'm going to share with you in just a moment. So if you struggle with your head moving off the ball, your shoulders being flat, your arms getting deep, the club getting deep behind you, let's take a look at how to fix that with one feeling. All right, before I show you how I got Alton into this position, let's look at what Tiger Woods felt that he did in his swing. If you recall Tiger's book back from the early 2000s, How I Play Golf, this is an excerpt from that where he says, "One of my key thoughts is wide at the top. I push my left arm away from my head as far as I can, and my right arm goes right along with it." And on the next page, he says, "As you stretch your left arm away from your body." So he's talking a lot about the lead side in his golf swing for his backswing. And then there's one more clip here. There should be a healthy feeling of tension and resistance down your left side at the top. Now take a look at these two images from the book, and you can clearly see he has really pushed that left shoulder across his body, under his chin, what we would call protraction. And from here, you can see it even more. Look at the space between his left shoulder and the side of his head versus his right shoulder and the right side of his head. It's wildly different. Now let's take a look at another GOAT. Watch how Bobby Jones takes the club back. And what would you say he's doing here? It looks pretty clear that he's maintaining the cupping in the left wrist and pushing the left hand back while leaving the club basically behind at address. Now let's listen to him describe how he took it back.
The club must be swung back and not merely picked up by the hands and arms. And the thing which makes it a swing is a push backward by the left side and arm.
So interestingly, Bobby Jones and Tiger Woods, arguably two of the greatest players of all time, both describe their backswings as pushing from the left hand or the left side. Now let's hear the other final great GOAT, Jack Nicklaus, describe how he thought of the backswing.
Through a great majority of the rounds of golf that I've played in my golfing career, one thought has really dominated my thinking, and that is complete the backswing. What you want to do is make sure that you use all the elements of the golf swing, and that is, we want to use our hands, we want to use our arms, and we want to use our body back and through.
Oh, it's just using your arms, your hands, and your body all together and completing your backswing. And that's it. That's what I've been doing wrong this whole time. Gosh, I've been making this so much more complicated than it really is. Isn't it frustrating listening to these guys? And then I played a clip not too long ago of Tiger talking about, well, I feel one thing on my swing, but a lot of times I look at it on video, I'm actually doing the opposite. And he said that this was the same thing for other great players that he's talked to over the years. So how are we supposed to learn from these great golfers? Now the golf swing is so incredibly complex that it's hard to know which way is up or down. And these guys make it so simple, and they just feel something, and boom, they have these great swing mechanics that we're all chasing. That is pretty challenging to try and figure out what's actually happening, what they're actually doing in their swings. And so I've spent all of this time trying to interpret between the lines what they're saying versus what they're actually doing, and translating that into real world results for people who aren't the greatest athletes in the world or the greatest golfers of all time. And that's what you saw with Alton. So let me show you how I interpret what Tiger's saying he did in his swing, what Bobby Jones is saying he did in his swing, and even what Jack's saying he did in his swing, and show you how to fix these three most common swing faults so that you can at least have a backswing that is a Tour Pro caliber backswing, and getting you to the point where you get rid of these three major issues so that you can actually play some really good golf. If we were going to solve the three most common backswing faults with one simple feel, this is what I would recommend you do. And this is what I do with my students. It's really, really simple. I'm going to talk about it as a right-handed golfer. So my lead hand, when you listen to what the GOATs talk about, they feel like they're using the left side of their body and their left arm to push that club back. When you apply that, most golfers, they will push from their shoulders because they think of the golf swing as a shoulder turn. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But for now, if you just did this, you will lick all three problems in the backswing. In fact, you'll actually lick 90% of the entire backswing to literally start looking like a tour pro by this one simple feel. So all you need to do, the amount of cupping that you have at address, I want you to maintain that. And all I want you to do at first is push this back, your hand and your wrist staying in this position to your trail foot. If I do this and I focus on just pushing this back, not turning my shoulders, so forget what you know about how the backswing should happen or what we do in the backswing. For right now, I want you to keep it really simple and forget golf for a second and just focus on pushing your hand back. If I push my hand back, what happens to my shoulder? Well, my shoulder's going down because I'm not pushing my hand across, I'm pushing my hand back, and I'm doing this with my lead shoulder. If I put my hand on the club, but my right hand, you're going to see that the club is easily going to stay outside my hands now. It would never go in this way. This would also cause my shoulders to be really flat. We know we need our shoulders to be on a steeper plane, matching up with our spine. And so what I'm doing, if I push this left hand back, the club stays outside my hands, my shoulders go down, and my head naturally stays centered. If I continue this feeling of pushing this back to the top, I'm in a great position. I've killed nearly every single backswing fault that you've ever had in one simple feeling. It's just a matter of pushing this back. Now, how you do this is the key, and it's up to you. There's lots and lots of different ways to do it. The most common, like people think about turning their shoulders and they start trying to turn their shoulders in the backswing. I think of it a little bit differently. I think about protraction and retraction of the shoulders and using the momentum of the body to help get everything started. But that's my own personal approach because that's how I attack the downswing, is using these movements to set up how I believe the GOATs swing in the downswing. So if you want to know more about how I teach my students and go more in depth on this, if this isn't quite enough for you or you want to understand how I approach it, there's a link down in the description below. It's free for all members of the site. But if you think about just doing this one thing and you forget everything else, you just think about pushing this left hand back, you're going to kill 90% of the backswing faults and you're going to start to be able to naturally start coming down better because you're in a better spot at the top.